Here's our practice quiz. Does everybody have a copy of the practice quiz? Okay, good. So today is day 25 in Algebra 2 or Algebra 1. And this practice quiz, whenever you get done filling it out, I will want you to show it to me or give it to me whenever you take the quiz tomorrow. This will count as your exit ticket for today. And it is Monday, May 5th. Okay, so this quiz is going to cover multiplying binomials. That's what we've been doing for the last week and a half or so. And so there's three different methods that we talked about. There's the FOIL method, the box method, or we didn't talk about this one in as much detail, but we will today, the perfect square method. We'll see only two problems like that, and that'll be on the back of this quiz here. So let's start with the very first one, number 1, and we're going to look at what the FOIL method is. So if somebody could tell me, how do I use the FOIL method to multiply these binomials? My F is first two terms, my outer two terms, my inner two terms, and my last terms. Good. So we're distributing 5x times 5x, 5x times -2, -3 times 5x, and -3 times -2. There's our FOIL method. So for the first terms, 5x times 5x, what will we get? 25 would be the 5 times 5. Now x times x gives us x squared. Good. So remember, x times x does give us x squared as our first term. Now our outer terms, 5x times -2, what is that? -10x. Good. Now our inner terms, -3 times 5x. Good, -15x. And our last terms, -3 times -2. Plus 6. Okay, so we've done all 4 terms using the FOIL method. What's left to do? Yes, now we have like terms, -10x, -15x. When we put those together by adding, yes. So I'm going to rewrite everything. I've got 25x squared minus 25x plus 6. And that is our answer. Perfect. Okay, let's use, yes.
I got everything, the numbers are correct, but I had positive. Will you add the 2 negatives?
So whenever you multiply 2 negative numbers, you would get a positive answer. But whenever we are adding negatives, the negative stays on there. So it's like, let me get a sticky note. So with my negative numbers, if I were to start here at -10 and I subtract 15 from that, when I subtract, I go backwards this way. Here's the positives, here's the negatives. So I subtract -15, and that's going to give us an even bigger negative number. Yes. Okay. Let's look at number 2, and we'll go over that FOIL method one more time. And then I'll show you guys the box method again, just to make sure if anybody does end up wanting to use it. So for the FOIL method, what terms do I multiply first in number 2?
4 times 5. 4x times 5x.
Yes, 4x times 5x. And what will that give me?
20x squared.
Yes, 20x squared. That's my first terms. Now, what do I multiply? Outer, 4x times, yes. And what will that give me? Negative 20x. Perfect. What's next? My inner terms. 3 times 5x. 15x. And my last terms. Yes, it is. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Good. My two middle terms are like terms. What is negative 20x plus 15x? Negative 5x. Then we'll bring everything down. 20x squared minus 5x minus 15. And that's our answer. Okay.
So the answer you got for negative 20x plus 15x, is that a negative 15?
Negative 5x. So if I start with negative 20 and then I add 15 to it, it would be like if we look up at the number line up here at the top with the blue trim, start at negative 15, or sorry, start at negative 20 and then add 15 to it. We would see that if we jumped up 15 dots, we'll land on negative 5 up there. Okay, and you can also use your calculators anytime to double check answers. If I wanted to, I could type in negative 20 plus 15, and I'll get negative 5. Okay, so for number 3, let's review the box method, just in case anybody prefers that method. If you like the FOIL, you don't have to use the box method, but it does exist, so we'll show it anyway. So for number 3, I'm going to start by drawing myself a box. Looks like a little window. And I'm going to write my first two terms on top. I've got 3x and minus 2. And my second two terms go down here, x minus 1. So looking at the way I have this set up, what gets multiplied in this first box? Yes, 3x and x. So what is 3x times x? 3x squared. Now the next box lines up with negative 2 and x. What's negative 2 times x? Negative 2, just x. We only change it to x squared if we multiply an x times another x. Since there's only one x, we don't do an x squared. We just keep it x. Negative 2x. Now in this box, I have negative 1 times 3x. What will I get there?
Negative 1 times 3x?
Mm-hmm.
Positive 3x.
We start with positive 3x, but I'm multiplying by negative 1. Yes, it'll be negative 3x. Good. And now my last two terms, negative 1 times negative 2. Positive 2. Yep. Okay. So with the box method, you're doing all of the same steps. It just looks a little bit different. Now that we have our 4 terms, I can see that these two diagonally are my like terms because they both have an x. So negative 3x and negative 2x, what happens when I combine those?
Negative 3x and negative 2x?
When I add them together.
Positive 5x.
Almost. Negative 5x. That's going to be our middle term. So then we just write everything else out with it. 3x squared minus 5x plus 2. And that would be our answer. Okay. So that would be number 3. And I'll go ahead and get number 4 set up with the box method as well. Now I've got x minus 5 and 3x plus 4. Okay, before we run through number 4, do we have any questions about number 3?
No.
Okay, so looking at number 4 now, I've done the same thing to get started. I've put my box here and I've lined up my terms to be multiplied. So in my first box, what am I multiplying here? X times 3x. What does that give me?
3x squared.
Yes, 3x squared. Now what do I multiply here?
3x and negative 5.
Yeah, what does that give me?
15, negative 15x.
Good, negative 15x. Now this box, what am I multiplying here? 4 times x gives me,
4 times x squared.
yes, plus 4x. And last but not least, what gets multiplied here?
4 and negative 5.
4 and negative 5. Perfect. What will that give me? Negative 20.
All right, times. Okay, times.
Yes, so we multiply to get these 4 numbers, and then the only time we add is when we combine our like terms, like our 4x and our negative 15x. We'll add those together. So we have our 4 terms. Now here's my like terms. When I combine these, what will I get?
Negative 19.
So if it was a negative 4x, that would be correct. But I have positive 4x and negative 15x. It's actually going to, yes, be negative 11x. Since we have different signs, we're kind of subtracting here. We're finding a difference. Positive 4 minus 15x. That will give us negative 11x. Minus 20. Good. So, yeah. Let's put this all together now. We have 3x squared minus 11x minus 20. And that is our answer for number 4. Okay. Any questions about that one?
I have a question.
Yes.
If you want to use the FOIL method for all of them,
Yes, you can. If you want to use the FOIL method for all of them, you can do that. You don't have to use the box method.
the box method is more complicated.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny because that's what most of the people in here say. They don't like the box method very much. But then I have other classes that love the box method. Everybody's different. I like the FOIL method better myself, but okay, let's look at number 5. Let's switch back to the FOIL method for number 5. So my first terms, what do I multiply?
6x to 2x.
Yes, first is 6x times 2x, and what will that give me? 12x squared. Then what do I multiply?
6x.
Yes, 6x times negative 6. Negative 30, 6x. Perfect. Okay, now what do I multiply?
Your inner, which is your 5 and 2x.
Perfect.
You get
10x.
10x. And then it's 5 and negative 6.
Perfect. 5 times negative 6 is negative 30. Okay, so we've gotten all 4 terms. Which terms are like terms and need to be combined? Yeah. So what is negative 36 plus 10? Almost. Yes. Negative 26. X. Then we bring the rest down. 12x squared minus 26x minus 30. And that's our answer. Okay. Very good. Any questions on number 5? Okay, let's go ahead and look at number 6 then.
Why did you subtract the -36?
Negative 36, because we did positive 6x times negative 6. And a positive times a negative, because the signs are different, we're going to get a negative product. So then whenever we added the negative 36 plus 10, we got a negative 26 because the 36 is the bigger number and it has a negative sign. And then same with minus 30. Positive 5 times negative 6 gives us a negative answer, negative 30. Okay, let's look at number 6. First terms, 5 and negative 2x. Yes, negative 10x squared. Perfect. What's next?
5x plus 4.
So 5x times 4, what is that? 20x. Okay, now my inner terms, 6 and negative 2x. Good, negative 12x. Yes, 24. Okay. Perfect. Plus 20 minus 12. So 20 minus 12 is 8. Positive 8x. Thank you. Plus 24. That's our answer for number 6. Okay. Any questions about number 6? Okay, let's go ahead and look at number 7 then. I have 6x minus 2 times negative 3x minus 6. Yeah, that'll be our first step. 6x times negative 3x gives us negative 18x squared. Perfect. Then what do I do? Negative 36x. Perfect. Positive 6x. Yes. Okay, so we've got negative 18x squared minus 36x plus 6x plus 12. Yes, negative 36x plus positive 6x gives us negative 30x. Bring. What is it? Oh, yes. We're going to get to those. We're going to get there. We're already almost done.
I'm finished. I'm just waiting.
Well, awesome. Awesome. Okay. So make sure now today is, our practice quiz, meaning that this is your time to tell me if you have questions, to let me know if there's something that doesn't make sense to you. I want to encourage all of you to take advantage of this today to get those questions out there so that I can answer them for you. Okay, let's look at number 8 now. What would I multiply first? Okay, 5 times negative 6, negative 30. And then our x's together give us x squared.
Your next one is gonna be 5x times -7. You get -35.
Good. 5x times -7 gives us -35x. And my inner terms, -1 times, yes, negative and negative give us positive 6x. Perfect. -1 times -7 gives us positive 7. Okay, now let's look at our middle terms. -35x plus 6x, that does give us -29x. -30x squared minus 29x plus 7. Okay, that is our whole first page. Before we go on to the back, I do want to give you guys a moment to look over that and see if you do have any remaining questions about this process. If not, we're going to move on in just a moment here. Y'all ready for the next page? Okay, so now we have 4 more questions on the back. Numbers 9 and 10, you see we have the same numbers, the same terms, but different signs in between. That's a good indication that whenever we do this, our middle terms might cancel out. So let's go ahead and use our FOIL method again here. What's my first terms? X times x is x squared. Yes, x times -1 will give us minus x. My middle terms.
Can it be -1x?
Yes, that's fine. Plus x, because 1 times x. Yes, and then positive 1 times -1 is -1. Now, if I have minus x plus x, what happens? They cancel out. Yeah, so that's our answer, just x squared minus 1. Good. Okay. Number 10 is going to be very similar. Yep, we've got x and x give us x squared minus 7x plus 7x minus 49.
Your middle term cancel.
Yes. Perfect. Minus 7x plus 7x. Same terms, different signs. They cancel. So we have x squared minus 49. That's our answer. Okay. Now, whenever we do number 11 and 12, I see we have x plus 3 squared and x minus 8 squared. When we square something, we're just multiplying it to itself. So there's a couple of ways to think of these two problems. What's the first way we could think of number 11?
You could write it out twice.
Right, you could write this out twice. You're just doing x plus 3 times x plus 3, and you just use the FOIL method like normal. X squared.
Positive 3x.
Right. And then those 3's give us 6x. X squared plus 6x plus 9. And that would be our answer. Now, there is a shortcut, not that this took very long, but there is an even faster way. If you like to memorize new things. If not, this method works just fine. But anytime that we see that there is just one binomial being squared, what I can do, so here's the other method, x plus 3 squared. What we would do is square the first term. So I'm just going to square that, x squared, square the last term, 3 squared, and then put these together, 3 and x times 2. So 2 times 3x. And then we bring it all down. So now we have x squared, 2 times 3x is plus 6x, and 3 squared is 9. So that is one more way to do it. They both work. You don't have to use this method. If you like FOIL and you want to just keep doing FOIL, then do it. They all work. Okay. Let's look at number 12, unless we have questions about 11. Any questions about number 11? Okay, number 12. X minus 8 squared. Now this time I'm going to try using that perfect square method. I'm going to square both of these terms. X squared and then negative 8 squared. And in the middle, 2 times negative 8x. So, with this method, I have x squared. What's 2 times negative 8? X. Yes, negative 16x. And then negative 8 squared, or negative 8 times negative 8? Positive 64. And that would be our answer. Now, you could still use the FOIL method. You could still do x minus 8 times x minus 8 and do your first, outer, inner, and last. That is going to give you the same answer. Both ways work. What did you miss?
I don't know where I missed the negative 16. I got everything.
Did you do positive 16?
No, I don't have it written at all. Like I skipped the whole.
Do you just have x squared plus 64? So what it sounds like you did is you squared both of these terms, but then forgot about the middle terms. So if you think that you're going to find yourself messing up using this newer method we're not as used to, I would just write it out twice and FOIL it. That way you know you won't miss anything. Okay. That's all 12. Now I'm going to show you the bonus. Now, these are optional. If you feel good about all these and you don't want to go further, that's your choice. But I'm going to show you how to do these anyway. So let's look here. Hello. Pause this. Okay. So before I write it out on here, I'm actually going to pull out a piece of paper to show this to you so I can spread my work out a little bit more. So let me grab just an extra little piece. And I'm just going to use a small piece so I can kind of tape it on here. So these are optional. You don't have to do them. But the first bonus question, I'm just going to write down the problem. I've got 2x squared plus 2x plus 1 times 7x squared minus 3x plus 5. And this is number 13. So whenever we are using the FOIL method, we're just doing distribution one term at a time. So we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to start with my first term, 2x squared, and I'm going to multiply that to all three terms on the other polynomial here. So I'm going to start with 2x squared times 7x squared. So first, let's look at the coefficients. What is 2 times 7? Good, 14. X to the 4th power. How'd you get x to the 4th power? How do we know that? Yes, we have a 2 here and a 2 here. Whenever you multiply exponents, you're just adding. So 2 and 2 make 4. 14x to the 4th power. So now I need to take this 2x squared, and we're still using our distribution here. I want to take it times negative 3x. So numbers first. 2 times negative 3, what is that? Negative 6, x to the 3rd power. How do we know this is x to the 3rd power? Yes, we're just adding again. X to the 2nd power, there's a 2 there. X by itself, there's an invisible 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. Yes, now we distribute to the plus 5. So 2 times 5 is 10, and we just bring down that x squared. Okay, so we've done the first part. I have multiplied my 2x squared by all the terms in the other one. So now I'm going to use another color, and all we need to do next is go to the next one, 2x, and we're going to use distribution for that term. So I'm going to take 2x times 7x squared. We're starting over. Perfect. So I'm going to get 2 times 7, which is 14, x to the 3rd power. Now, here's where this is going to help you out when you're writing your answer and keeping it organized. Now that I have a 4, a 3, and a 2 in my first part of my answer, since I'm going to have x to the 3rd power first, I'm going to write it underneath my other term with x to the 3rd power. This is going to make combining like terms a lot easier at the end. So 2 and 7, that gave us 14x to the 3rd power. So now we're going to continue with the distribution. 2x times negative 3x. What will that give me? Negative 6x, good, squared. And notice how that lines up with the 10x squared really nicely. And finally, what else do I multiply?
2x.
Yes, 2x times 5. What will that give me? 10x. Good. Okay, so we've distributed the first and second terms, but we have one left. Now let's distribute 1. So let me grab another color. So now I'm going to start over again. I want to multiply 1 times 7x squared. What will that give me? 7x squared, and I'm going to write it under my x squared terms. So positive 7x squared, then what? 1 times negative 3x, good, and that's not going to change it. It'll stay negative 3x. And last but not least, 1 times 5 plus 5. Okay, so now we've done all of our multiplication, all of the distribution. And here is the final step. And this is why writing our like terms on top of each other is really, really helpful. Because now we're just going to do a big old addition problem. And I'm going to bring everything down. So 14x to the 4th power, I'm bringing that down. 14x to the 4th power. Now I have negative 6x to the 3rd power plus 14x to the 3rd power. What's that? Yes, positive 8 x to the third power. Now I have 3 different terms to add up. 10x squared minus 6x squared plus 7x squared.
11x squared.
I think so. 10 minus 6 is 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes, 11x squared. Now I have plus 10x minus 3x plus 7x. Good. And just bring down the plus 5. And that's your answer. It's a big one.
So you don't have to do no like terms or none of that.
So what you may not even realize is what we just did here, adding them up, that was the like terms. We just, because we organized them as we found them, it made it feel less difficult. So that is the answer. On your actual quiz, you can earn up to, I think it was 2.25 bonus points. I'm going to give you a certain amount of points per each term you get correct on the bonus. So it's really just repeated distribution. That's all this is. So that was number 13. We'll run through number 14 as well, but before that, do we have any questions, or is there any part of that that didn't quite make sense? Well, let's go ahead and look at 14 and we'll see if that changes. I'm going to move that to the side. And now I'm going to write out the problem for 14.
Just refreshing my memory, that's all.
Yep. That's why we do review. So 6x squared minus 8x minus 8. How about this? You guys want to try doing 14 on your own? And then I'll give you a few minutes to work on that. And then I'll show you the answer. See if you guys get it.
I don't see why not.
Why not? Let's do it. I'm going to let you guys try to do this one on your own first. And then I'll come back and give you the answer. You can see if you got it right. So I'll just pause this for a minute. All right, we'll go ahead and look at number 14 then. So we are starting, just like we did on the last problem, with our first term here, negative 6x squared. And I want to multiply that to each of the terms in this binomial here. Or not binomial, it's a polynomial because there's more than 2 terms. So first, yes, negative 6 times negative 4 is 24. x2, x4. Okay, what do I multiply next?
A squared times 6, negative 6.
Perfect. So negative 6 times negative 6 is,
Positive 12.
if you added, it would be 12, but we're multiplying. Yes,
Negative 36.
36. Okay, and x to the what power? Third power. Good. And my next term, negative 6x squared times positive 4. Negative, good, 24x squared. Okay, so now let's move to our second term, negative 8x. And we're going to do the same process over again. Negative 8x times negative 4x squared.
32x positive 32x.
Yeah. Positive 32x to the third power. Good. Now we have negative 8x times negative 6x. What's negative 8 times negative 6?
Is it positive 48?
It is, yes, x squared. Positive 48x squared. And one more term for my negative 8x to be multiplied to, and that's the positive 4. So negative 8x times 4 is positive 32, negative 32x. Why is it negative? Yes, yes. We have a negative here. Oh, sorry, here. And it's being multiplied by a positive. Since the signs are different, we get a negative answer. Negative 32x. Yes. Okay, so I've distributed both of my first two terms. I got one left. That's my minus 8, negative 8. So we'll start from the beginning again. Negative 8 times negative 4x squared. 32x squared. That's going to be positive because the two negatives cancel. Okay, now I have negative 8 times negative 6x. 48x. Now this one's also going to be positive. I have a negative and a negative. They cancel. Positive 48x. And last but not least, negative 8 times positive 4. Negative 32. All right, I just about ran out of room there. I know it. So now we want to add it all together, bring everything down. Good. 24x to the fourth power, 36 plus 32 gives us 68. X to the third power. Good. Plus 56x squared. Bring that down. 48 minus 32, that's plus 16x. Minus 32. That's our answer. Yes, yes. Keeping your numbers lined up is a big, big help in big problems like these. Now, remember, this is bonus. If you decide you don't want to do it, or if you at least give it a go and let's say you don't get it right, it will not hurt your grade. It can only help it. Even if you get everything wrong and just get one term correct, you can still get a little bonus for that. Definitely give it a go. Okay. That's our practice quiz. That's the whole thing. So what I would like to offer to all of you, it is 1:39. Not even 2 yet. So we still have until 3:30. You've got almost a full 2 hours here to work with. This is all the instruction that I am giving you today. Feel free to use the rest of the time to do whatever you like. If you have things to work on, feel free to do that. If you would like practice problems for these types of things, I have those available. I'm happy to give those out as well. If you want to try to take the quiz today, you can do that. Tomorrow we're just going to take this quiz. So if you take it today and you like how you did, you don't have to be here tomorrow. So entirely up to everybody, but I am going to lay out copies of this quiz. I am here to help if anyone has any sort of questions. And that is all today. So I'm going to end that recording.